we really were so intentional about the experience that we crafted. And I truly believe if we would not have added the game center and the barrel saunas and the pickleball and had this kind of resort like this micro resort like experience for our guests, we would not be seeing these numbers. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a special episode this week of Branded and Booked. I'm going to be diving into the numbers from our first full peak season of Cabins on the Cumberland with you. And I'm really excited to be able to share. And I feel like we're still kind of in our peak season because actually August, September, and October for us are still really good. But I wanted to share our summer numbers because they are so reflective of the work that we have spent the last 3 years now, basically 3 years. It's been almost exactly 3 years since we found the property, since we first discovered it and visited and decided to do this whole crazy thing. So I wanted to share all the details with you guys. I thought moving forward with my podcast, it could be, especially my solo episodes, it could be kind of fun for me to share with you guys where we are. For those of you who are maybe newer to the podcast, my family and I are spending the next year traveling around the United States in a fifth wheel that we purchased and taking our kids to as many national parks as we can and exploring and going and seeing. And with that comes the opportunity for me to actually be able to visit clients in person, which is such a fun opportunity as well. So lots of cool things that are happening. Right now, at the time of this recording, we are in Wyoming. We're in a place called Alpine, Wyoming. If you guys have never been here, it is beautiful. We're staying in a campground called the Alpine Valley Resort. It is totally surrounded by the mountains. It's stunning. And we're about 45 minutes away from Jackson. So, Jackson, Wyoming, which by the way, very confusing. It's Jackson, Wyoming, but people call it Jackson Hole. There's like a whole thing around that I don't remember the history on right now. But I'm like, I thought this whole time it was like Jackson Hole was the city, and it's actually not. It's like Jackson, Wyoming. So anyway, that was a little confusing to me. But we've had the opportunity to go to the Grand Tetons. We did paddleboarding as a family, and that was a blast and absolutely worth it. So that was great. We went to an awesome restaurant, which is the hat I'm wearing if you're watching this on YouTube, the Jackson Drug Co. So Jackson Drug is a restaurant in the town square. It's like right on the town square. And they have a dedicated gluten-free fryer. So they have gluten-free and dairy-free options. And we ate dinner there the other night and it was phenomenal. So really, really fun experience. So we're having a great time. Highlights so far of where we've been are definitely paddleboarding in the Grand Tetons. I mean, how many 3 and 5 year olds can say that they've done that? That's pretty cool. Honestly, even like 33-year-olds. I'm like, we're doing this trip to do this as a family, yes, but we're doing this trip for us too. And so we're having a lot of fun exploring. So that's been fun. But this episode today is all about diving into the cabins. And if you guys are watching this and seeing me look at my other screen, it's because I've got all my numbers in front of me. And so I just want to make sure that I'm reporting accurately to you. I think one of the things there's a couple things I want to talk about. When I tell people that we own a 12 cabin micro resort, we're one of the owners, right? We're one of 4 couples in this. So there's technically 8 people who are involved. I think they think, oh my gosh, you're making millions. And if you're in this industry, then you all get it because there's a lot of us who are in this space. And yes, we're profitable, we're making money, it's great, but there's a lot of us that are in this and going, hey, like this was a long-term equity play. And for the last 2.5 years, it feels like all we've done is pour capital into the cabins, just like constantly pouring capital in for a lot of reasons. And if you guys have listened to past episodes, I've talked about our deal structure. I've talked about what the finances actually looked like, what it looked like for us to purchase the property, how much we had to put down, what was involved in all of that. I may go into a little bit of a high level overview on that today, but that I think oh my gosh, you're making millions is such a misconception. And I also think that there's not enough transparency in this industry about what people are actually making on these projects and inside of these hotel deals and the micro resorts and all of that. And so I wanted to peel back the curtain today and really share that with you and dive into it. And I think that even if you're not in this space or if you're thinking about investing in a micro resort or a boutique hotel, I would say one of the biggest learning lessons is know that it almost always takes more than you think. I have yet to meet someone who's like, we came in under budget, but I have yet to meet someone who has told me that. So maybe one of you is listening to this and you'll be able to prove me wrong. But I think that it's important to be able to give you guys the real numbers and show you what's happening behind the scenes and not just the fluffy things that I think sometimes we're often sold on social media, which is fine, except that it doesn't paint a very realistic picture. And so my goal today is to be able to share the real with you. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is break down June, July, and August so far, like where we're at in terms of August bookings so far. And again, to give you kind of background, we found the property for those of you who haven't heard the story yet. Okay. We found the property in August of 2023. So that's when we first visited it. We decided to do this with three other couples and we signed on the dotted line on December 31st of 2023. And so our first two cabins went live. Well, our first cabin, yeah, no, first two. Our first two cabins went live in June of 2024, and then followed by the third cabin in July of 2024. Our triplex, so that was three cabins under one roof. So that gave us an additional six. Went live in September of 2024. So we missed our peak season then. And then we had an additional five cabins that went live right before Memorial Day weekend in June of 2025. Okay, so hopefully that gives you context. So in 2025, we had 11 total cabins that were operating. And then we also were still building our game center. We were building still our barrel saunas. Pickleball court wasn't quite complete. And then the final cabin, our last cabin. So we have 12 total cabins. The last cabin did not go live until November, and the game center and so forth did not either until November of 2025. So this was our first summer in a lake community on the river, very much peak season. This was our first summer being live with all of that. And so I was so excited to be able to see, number one, to be able to prove like we can hit these numbers. Number two, to just see the difference between last year and this year. And wow, what a difference it made. So I'm going to dive into the numbers with you guys, but I wanted to give you that context just to kind of share. We were still very much under construction last summer. Now development is complete. And this year is very much about stabilizing and kind of figuring out where we're going to land and where things are going to be. So let's start first with June. We'll do our June comparison, then we'll do a July comparison, and then I'll tell you guys where we're at for August so far. So for June of 2025, our gross revenue number was 34,776. Our ADR was 209 and our occupancy was 45%. Again, keeping in mind, still under construction. Five cabins had just gone live at the end of May. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely see in our markets where we are that there is a 60 to 90 day kind of ramp up period to get bookings, to get reviews, and to kind of see where we're going to be and see where we're going to land. So that was what June of last year, 2025, looked like. June of 2026. Now, before I even share this, I'm going to asterisk this with there was a national fishing tournament that happened in June this year, and it was a week-long tournament. All of our cabins were booked for that full week, and our rates were significantly higher. So the numbers I'm about to share with you, I do feel are a little bit skewed for this year. July is probably a much more accurate representation of what we can expect moving forward. But even with that, I still think that this was such relevant data for us to see. So June of this year, our revenue was 61,227. Now, again, these are gross numbers that I'm sharing with you guys. So I'm not sharing all of the expenses. I'm not sharing our debt service, etc. But just so you're aware. So this is gross. Cleaning fees, all of that, maintenance, etc. Okay, you guys know. Our ADR was 368 and our occupancy was 56%. So this tells you guys our revenue in June was $26,000 more this year. That was huge win. And we were booking at significantly higher ADRs, right? So, and that's what you guys heard on all of that. So our revenue was up about 76% year over year. Our ADR was up 76%. And then our occupancy was up by about 11%. So great numbers to see. Again, we had the fishing tournament, but here we are. July Okay, July of 2025, our revenue was 46,000. Our ADR was 266 a night, and our occupancy was 46%. This July, our revenue was 62,663. Our ADR was 281, and our occupancy was 60%. What I think is great about seeing this for July is seeing how much we were able to increase revenue, which was about 36%, how much our ADR increased from 266 to 281. That was awesome to see. And then also our occupancy jumped by about 14% year over year. So what I want you guys to hear in all of this is that we really were so intentional about the experience that we crafted. And I truly believe if we would not have added the game center and the barrel saunas and the pickleball and had this kind of resort like this micro resort like experience for our guests, we would not be seeing these numbers. So, being intentional about the brand, understanding the target audience, understanding the area where we are, and creating this all encompassing experience made a world of a difference for us this year. And obviously, too, really dialing into our revenue management. And man, I pushed our rates. Like I pushed us a little bit this year. And I had rates that I was like, the data does not support this. The data does not tell me that this is what makes sense, but I'm going to do it anyway and see what happens. That paid off in a lot of ways. I will tell you that did not pay off for me in May. And I think I've shared this on a previous podcast episode. I think I overpriced us in the month of May. And I have to keep in mind that just because Memorial Day weekend happens in May doesn't mean that we're in peak season. That's still very much our shoulder season. March, April, and May are kind of that shoulder season there. We get a lot of bookings for spring break. Spring break this year was really good. And so I expect that to be even stronger for next year. But I pushed us too hard in the month of May. June and July, I pushed us in a healthy way that led to us being in a really good spot. So in terms of kind of what changed, obviously we completed development. We had all of these amazing amenities. We created an intentional experience, the cabins on the Cumberland experience, right? And really sticking firm to our thoughtful hospitality philosophy, making sure that the guests had everything that they needed to enjoy their stay, providing charcoal, providing firewood for our guests. That was actually something that we added on this year. We were able to find our cleaning team found a vendor to provide firewood for us. And so obviously we pay for that. And then we do an upsell for our guests if they would like firewood, and we charge $15 for that. The advantage for our guests who participate in that is that they will get additional firewood because we keep it on site in like a hidden area. And so that's like an awesome thing for them. So if they ask about it, we're like, oh, here's where you can find this, and thank you for paying for it. So anyway, that's that. We also, of course, have social proof, right? Like we've launched all of these cabins. They've been live. We've got the reviews coming in. People are seeing how awesome the experience is. It's being shared on social. We've got stronger marketing. We have a bigger email list. We have a stronger brand awareness. All of these pieces matter so tremendously to what we were able to actually cultivate this year. And like I've already mentioned, we really dialed in on the revenue management side of things too. I was just chatting with a potential client for the Weber Co today, and they were, sharing, hey, like we're really dialed in on operations and revenue management, but we're really lacking in marketing. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. All of these things have to work together, you guys. This is not about how, just marketing. It's not just about revenue management. It's about how every single piece of what we're doing and running our hospitality businesses works to support the bottom line and works to support the guest on the other side, right? It really is. It really is. So it's all about the building blocks of how the business operates as a whole. August is also really interesting. So I'm going to share some numbers with you on this. For August of 2025, our total revenue that month was $41,000. August is still a really great month. There are several events that happen on the lake in the month of August, which is great. And it's like those last minute people trying to get in before everybody goes back to school. Also, August is typically like less rainy. And so people can kind of count on that. September is the same way. And then of course, fall is beautiful, and fall break helps us tremendously too. So in August, we finished in 2025 at 41,000. Our ADR was 206 and our occupancy was 54%. Okay, ready for August of 2026? Now, this is at the time of this recording. Today is July 27th. So for August 2026 so far, we've got about $17,000 booked already at an ADR of 257, and our occupancy is only 16%. So we have plenty of availability and opportunity for that to continue to increase. And if we're able to match our occupancy last year, then we should be probably ten to $15,000 above where we were in August of 2020 or August of 2025, sorry. So that's great. Or what I noticed, and you guys may be noticing this in your markets too, I noticed that